The end.
All right. Here we go. Oh, no. I didn't load up on drinks. God damn it. You're going to have to carry a minute. Go on one of your long diatribes about, I don't know, something about pass to win and run to fucking manage the whole thing. All right. Sorry for the language coming out. There's going to be a lot tonight. Very frustrated, very frustrated. I'm getting old. Soren Petro's here. He's not as old. In fact, my mom thinks he's hot, which is kind of disturbing. So it was a rough day today. A so-so weekend for the Super Contest. We got our Super Contest leans and likes. We've got, yay, more COVID talk and people not masking. We'll get to that. I may spring some global betting odds on DJT and Sleepy Joe, state by state. I might do that to Petro later on, so we'll see what happens.
Dude. Let's do it, man.
I love the betting odds. I love it because it frames everything. And listen, if you're covering sports and you don't know the odds for a game, you need to quit because it frames the game. Right? You have to know what the odds are going into a game. If you're going to start flipping out that some team you didn't expect to win is winning and they're like 4-point dogs. Like, what an upset. They were 4-point dogs. Relax.
Yeah. We try whenever possible, like, which is every time I say a game, I try to have the odds because I think it's a part of where everybody is.
Well, my point is with a color voice or a play-by-play guy, you have to be familiar with what the real story is in the game, and especially in college, because I think there are sometimes in college football, it's like, what an upset, you know what I'm referencing. Of course, I'm probably referencing having to listen to Matt Millen, who I'm going to beat up on him for a second straight day. I know he almost died. He's got heart issues, but like, bro, if you're going to do the games, you got to prep a little bit, okay? Like, read a little bit. You can't the whole game. Lisa Byington's doing play-by-play, and he's like, that's a good play there by number 18. Who was that? Like, Matt, it's Big Ten Network, man. There are people who want this job. I mean, I know they're doing him a favor. You know, it's like he's not Beano Cook yet. Like, I know you can still read and a little bit prep for the goddamn games. But by the way, we had Mark Schlereth on yesterday, and he wasn't insulted, but like his answer was freaking awesome. I asked him, I go, hey, what's harder to prep for, doing color analysis on a football game or the talking head shows? And he was like, he's like getting ready for a game. And he also got screwed because remember, the Raiders got pulled off of Sunday Night Football. So he's like, yeah, I watched 23 hours of, maybe it was a little much, but whatever. I watched 15 hours of tape on Seattle and Arizona. Right. And then all of a sudden I find out like freaking, Thursday that the whole thing has changed. I got to go, do research for that. So my point being is have respect for the good ones who call games because there is work that goes into it.
All right. So you do sidelines, right? For people who listen to my show may not know that. Yeah. UNLV, football and basketball. Like, do you really think that that's harder? I know you're not, and you called some of the games.
No. Totally different, dude. No.
Right. And like, I'm always like the easiest thing in the world to like go and do the kind of TV spots that I do where I'm just like an analyst. That's the easiest thing in the world.
Right.
All right. Just tell me what the questions are you're going to ask me. I might look some things up, but generally speaking, it's very mainstream stuff that you should have a good working knowledge of to begin with. Now, writing
with Schlereth, I was talking about talking head shows on TV.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't a radio. Radio's totally different.
Yeah, but did you ask him about his radio show? Because he also does morning talk.
I didn't. No, it was just talking head show. Like, what's the one that on Fox? He was filling in on the one on Fox. Speak for yourself, like that kind of show,
right?
Or doing a freaking NFL game where you're the second,
right? So, but to me, like, and I know how hard Kevin Harlan works with his spot. Kevin comes on with us every week, and he's a maniac doing 2 football games, 2 NFL games. Does a Sunday game on CBS, and then he's the voice of Monday Night Football on Westwood One. And then he'll be doing like 1 or 2 NBA games once the NBA gets going, right? So he's insane. So he's constantly on the flights, working on his spotting boards and doing everything he is. And doing that quantity of games is amazing. Kevin Harlan is by far, hands down, it's not even close to the best play-by-play guy in the country, period. He's entertaining. He's fun. He's a great guy. He's everything. But like TV versus like writing is hard. Like I think writing's hard. But like if you get 3 days to produce what takes me 6 minutes to read versus doing 4 hours of talk radio, like they all have their own nuances and everything, but come on. And if you're an NFL analyst, you should know everybody in the NFL before you even get assigned your game.
Well, I think it's more of the interesting nuggets in the background and what's been going on during the season, because you certainly any person who's assigned to do a Chiefs game, unless they're doing like 4 this year on TV, like you, for example, are much more well versed on the Chiefs than that person is going to be, and you would strive to be somewhere near what the local people are, at least have a bunch of stories and be ready to go. But you can tell the color analysts who don't know anything about the teams they're calling. Like a great example is Reggie Miller is okay on the NBA. When they make him do college games, you're like, dude, it's clear you've never seen this team before, and you're just talking basketball generalities and trying to apply it to the situation you see unfolding.
But that's my point. Like, but right now, like if you bet on games, if you play fantasy football, you're telling me like you can't go 3 deep on the Lions running backs right now? I can. Like you don't, like the Jaguars are the most inconspicuous team out there, but you still know who the principal, participants are, for crying out loud. Like, okay, if they got to go to the dime package, who's their 4th corner? I need to grab a depth chart. But by the way, it's bookmarked. Like I'm a slide down and a click away from having the depth chart right in front of me.
So you're sort of segueing to what I wanted to open with tonight before we get to all the football stuff.
What your complete ability to whore for Battleborn injury lawyers?
Yes, I know, right? It's above my head. It's on my hat, and then we've got the logo in the corner.
I'm a fan. They're my guys.
Oh, Justin's cool, right? Justin's in our fantasy league. He's a regular guy.
Great guy. Love him.
So here's the midlife crisis that I got to discuss. I'm trying to think which direction
you bought. Listen, did you see what I tweeted? Did you buy another Camaro? Like, how many midlife crises are you going to have?
Well, when I bought the Camaro, I had a company close on us. I was 31. That's not midlife. I mean, it might be for me, but
31, man.
The direction I'm going in, 62 might be a miracle.
Is it that long ago you bought that thing?
Yeah. Back in 2000.
By the way, this wasn't like a classic 69 Camaro either. It's like the most forgotten model of Camaro ever.
I bought a 2000, but it was the SS. It had, and I upgraded the rims, and I actually changed out the muffler so it was more loud and more obnoxious. That was cool.
Classic Jersey.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, you got to get, there's really no IROC at that time, but you get, once in your life, you got to get the IROC, and it's like the cheapest sports car there was. So, I hadn't lost the job yet, or maybe I did. And like that month, I was like, hey, I got paychecks. I can qualify. I'm getting a new car. Let's do it. But, I'm also not a mopey pussy who was going to be like, I'm out of work for, I mean, right now with COVID, it's completely different. But back then I was like, whatever. And whatever I needed to do, I was going to make money. So I actually I went for like, I don't know, it was like 5 months in the end, but I went and sold cars. I was like, I'm not sitting at home every day and moping and sending out freaking radio tapes. Screw this. So that was confident in me. That was like.
By the way, I'm quite confident those were some of the best car deals people ever got. Because you just like, I'm not screwing around here. Listen, what's it going to take? All right, here, you can have it.
Totally. Because my whole goal was, one, I wasn't comfortable with, as they would say, like landing 3 and 4 pounders, which would mean, crushing people for an extra 3,000 or 4,000, right? Which is what the desk always wanted. They bonused us, they spiffed us on numbers of cars sold. So it was a race to get the highest number. So yeah, I don't give a shit about the dealership. I want my money. So I would kind of gently nudge people like, you can get a better deal than this. Keep going. And actually I did. I only did it for 4 months, but I think I tied for the lead 1 month in volume of sold cars, and the other month I led. And then unfortunately the 4th month was 9/11. So guess what happened to the dealership and people being in a good mood to buy cars? It was done. So I wasn't going to win 9/11 month. I got a little rough. People weren't beating down the doors. Let me get my new car. So anyway, that was as your guy Marty would say, like at 31, it's like there was a gleam, Ben. Yeah. A gleam, right? There was a gleam in my eye.
Sure.
Man, the last the last couple of weeks, like the midlife crisis is hitting, and I do not want to depress people, but I'm going to start out with a really weird story. My memory is really getting spotty, like very spotty. The stuff I can remember, like someone cutting me off driving and their license plate from 2007, I'm good on that, right? But like I had a friend just die who I was friends with in high school, right? And I really wasn't in touch with him for the last 25 or 27 years. So other friends start texting me like, yeah, so-and-so died. And I'm like, I got nothing. I got nothing. Petro, my memory before, like.
You don't even know who the guy is?
No, I do, but I don't remember a whole lot about him. And I feel so terrible because my friends are like, they're blowing me up, telling me. And I'm like, I feel really bad for you guys because they stuck with him, but there's like this, I don't know, man, like pre like 89, it's getting spotty. But then here's the effed up part. Today, towards the end of Cofield and Company, I looked at baseball free agents, right? And I was like, oh, Jordan Zimmerman, the Tigers finally got out from under that stupid deal, right? And it was $110 million. It was 5 years. And I don't remember 110, but I knew it was a terrible deal. And Adam and I were talking about like over-under wins over 5 years in that deal, right? And I set it at 25.5 for Adam to guess. He won 25 games in 5 years for $110 million. That's amazing. So then out of nowhere, this is my memory. Out of nowhere, I'm like, that is one of the worst deals in pitching history since Mike Hampton and Darren Dreifert. Dreifert signed a 5-year, $55 million deal. Like it just it comes out. I'm like, it was 2000.
How do you remember?
Why do I remember Darren Dreifert, 5 years and $55 million, and I don't remember much about my poor old friend who just passed away. I was friends with him for like 5 years. I got nothing but Dreifert. It's right here. What's happening?
Ridiculous. You can remember the Jim McIlvaine signing of the Seattle Supersonics as like the worst, what at the time was the worst free agent deal ever, but you can't remember your best friend's name. That's awesome.
He wasn't like best friend. He was probably like fourth.
I heard you guys palled around all the time.
Well, we actually
the night at each other's house. You actually lived next door and you talk out your windows at each other and everything.
Nah, I don't even know where
his name. What was his name? Shecky?
No, it was Greg. That's a weird one too. I should remember where he lived. I don't think I remember that. I don't remember it. Nothing. It's gone. It's all gone. It's weird, man. It's weird. What's happening?
You see me palling around with a lot of people?
Is your brain running out of room? Because I think mine's full.
Well, I haven't been able to handle the first name since I was in my 20s. Right? I had Jacob Turner, being positive for COVID.
Yep. Dude, that's another one. There are so many times I can't remember I know you've been bad at it for a while.
I was bad. Now I am a disaster. I have settled into just like I get coaches. I'm about ready to start just using numbers. Right? At 53, it's 37, 22, 32 with the Lakers when he won the 5 championships. I mean, the first 6'9" point guard, I can't I won't even remember Magic Johnson in like 5 years.
Yeah.
It'll be like, what's
there we go. Yeah, this is it.
This Jones that was the point guard for the Lakers. There was 5 titles.
There was a moment today. We're going back and forth.
At center.
We're going back and forth on pitchers for the Rays. Right, we're talking about Blake Snell, and then I wanted to turn to Tyler Glasnow, and I swear to God, for like 5 seconds, I'm like, no idea what the guy's name is. I'm like the tall guy, 6'8" guy. And then like all of a sudden it comes in out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, yeah. I don't know where it was, why it's coming back, why this is happening. Like,
but have you perfected the art of talking for like 10 seconds until it comes to you?
I'm getting better at
making it sound coherent.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I'll tell you what, if the Rays are going to go into games 5, there's only one guy to give the ball to. I mean, you're going to need strikeouts. You're going to need, you want a guy who's going to be around the strike zone. You want a guy with that downward plane. You're thinking 6'8". I know, come on. with the Pirates organization. You're going through it. You're like, yeah, and Tyler Glasnow, then it hits you. Tyler Glasnow is the guy to give the ball to.
Well, I'll give you here's the other problem with the midlife crisis and the memory going bye-bye. I'm now afraid to really talk to people, especially people that I used to know. Two other good examples.
Might be dead?
No. They will reach out to me. I'm not on Facebook a whole lot. Like, we run the video on Facebook, but I really loathe Facebook. Do you remember a guy named Brad Hanna? No, I think he was after your ear at Sports Center.
No, I remember Brad Hanna.
Okay.
I think I crossed paths with him.
So Brad reaches out. He was doing some sports videos. I think he's going to get that going again. He's in Arizona.
He's a good guy, as I recall.
He's a very pleasant guy. But now I was gone when he messaged me, but Brad was like, hey, I'm going to be in Vegas. Let's meet up. And my instant thought is, I can't. I don't say this to him, but I can't, because I don't think I'm going to remember anything about you. And beyond 2 minutes, I'm fucked. So I can't hang out with you. I can't. So it's now shutting down. Like people are like, what a dick, man. He doesn't keep in touch. I don't know. I don't remember anything about you. I don't think we can talk. I'm gonna go blank, and then it's over.
I will say, first of all, Steve was in my wedding, and I would have to consider you one of my closer friends. And you call me not work related once a decade?
Oh yeah, not work related. This
not work related, or not. You want to make a fantasy trade of some sort, right. Or we're planning, doing the football draft at Battleborn or something, and we're having to put some details together. Like, just how you doing? Maybe once a decade.
Dude, this is it. This is like we've now we actually talk to each other. I'm kind of happy. We basically do the podcast so that we can talk for 5 minutes about other stuff afterwards.
That's right.
I'll give you another example. There was a guy who we used to work with at Sportsman Radio Network. Again, I don't know if you remember him. A guy named Patrick Wiebeld, right? And
I remember Patrick. I remember the name.
So Patrick reaches out to me on Facebook, right? And he's like, hey, I saw you were getting some price corrections at Lee's Discount Liquor. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
What?
Like Big Brother checking me out. He's like, yeah, I'm the GM there. And I saw your name come up with your loyalty card and that we had screwed up some prices and stuff. And he's talking a little bit. And he's like, yeah, you know what? We should go hang out and get a drink. Dude, that's my liquor place. I haven't been there in 2 months. I'm done. I'm out. Because if I walk in, we'll be like, I don't know what to talk about.
First of all, you don't need someone who kind of knows you,
right,
knowing the amount, the quantities of booze that you're trucking out of there. So I don't know if it's a sign of a problem, but when you're having to move your booze orders around town so it doesn't look like you're actually consuming, 3 cases of Corona and
that wasn't really it. It wasn't
a case of Jim Beam every 3 days.
Yeah. It wasn't really like being tracked on my drinking. It was more like if we sit down at a bar and get a beer, I will be like a quarter through the beer and that's it. The conversation's done. I might nothing.
You officially like your fucks to give are all gone on actually maintaining the facade that you gave a shit about this person. Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, that is reality. Is what I'm saying is I'm not really interested in catching up and seeing how things have been the last 20 years. I'm just not.
Have you gone to your high school reunions?
Nope.
None.
I'm not going to know anyone. I know like 4 people.
I didn't really know anyone in high school. Why would I go now?
I
got a couple. I got literally like 2 people from my high school that I talked to, and they was like, "Are you going to the reunion?" Like, I'll get 17 texts. I'm like, I don't even know what it is. I don't know where it is. No, I'm not going.
But of all people, I mean, where'd you go to high school?
Shawnee Mission East.
Okay, so you're there. I'm 3,000 miles away. I don't know who these fucking people are. It's been like 30 years. It's 32. I don't know who you are.
Oh, so-and-so was asking about you. Well, good. So you got them all caught up, then there's no need for me to be there. Super.
Well, you're a big star. I think it'd be a nice appearance for you to make.
I would disagree. I would vehemently disagree with that assessment of my standing in this community.
We will follow up tomorrow because as scared as I am to talk to people who I may have known in the past, Adam Hill is he's frigid. because he has more story because he grew up here. He's been here since he was 13. He went to high school here.
Right.
So I mean, you're being self-deprecating. You're being modest when you're doing radio in a market where you grew up. There are a lot of people who know you, and then they're like, "Hey, I know Petro." And but yeah, Adam will have some. He started telling me stories where people are walking up to him and they're like, "Hey, buddy," like, and he's like, "I don't. What is this?" Like he has no idea. He has no idea who these people are. And he's younger than me.
And he does. And he like talk about just like not even going to begin to give a pretense of giving a shit. Like,
I mean, I think he cares about people more than I do, but he's a billion times more awkward than I am. Like he'll explain it tomorrow. It's basically the attitude is like, why would you want to talk to me? And he just gets all freaked out. So I don't even know if anti-social. It's like awkwardly social radio show in the country. Like we have no self-esteem. Like we don't think we're good. Like the first response when someone starts bringing up stuff from like 3 years ago, we're like, why? I don't know why you don't listen to me anymore. It's just I'm stupid. Like that's our whole show's mantra. And honestly, people think we're cunty. We're really not. We're just like, I don't even know what's happening. I don't know why this has happened. I don't know how I've done this for this long, and we're just dopes.
Well, how about this? So I'm talking to one of our sponsors tonight, right? Joe Spiker, Easton Roofing. I'll throw some love to one of our guys. Great guy, right? He's got a great company. It's a roofing company, and obviously with the name Easton Roofing. Roofing, guttering. And so we're just kind of chatting. We were supposed to get beers the other day, and I was busting his balls on the air about how he was going to come by and we're going to sit out on the patio, and then the weather went to shit, and so we weren't going to do it. And he wasn't feeling good, and so, we passed on. So we were kind of chatting and everything. And, he says to me, you're talking about the show and everything. He says to me, yeah, and give Curtis a break. Like, you shit on him all the time. Like, give him a break. And I'm like, we don't really need your sponsorship, So, no, I'm just no, Joe. I can make that joke because Joe's a great guy. No, listen, I was like, come on, seriously, Joe. That's the shtick. That's the deal. It's like, I love Curtis. Curtis is so great. So you're talking about like Curtis is like the teddy bear of Kansas City, right? So like, I'm just,
you're the bad guy.
I'm totally the bad guy. I'm the bad. We have drops that call him a show killer. I mean, come on.
I'm lucky. My producer is very hateable, so everyone gets it. We start. I'm kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. I think I dropped the line today that Ari's the producer for folks in Kansas City. We have a producer named Ari, and I dropped it with out hesitation. I was like, his life sucks. And I was like, during the break, I'm like, that might have been a little too much.
We have a drop of Curtis talking about his dating. He goes, we're talking about a guy who hasn't spoken to a woman he doesn't work with or is married to one of his friends in more than a decade. And that guy's me.
Self-deprecation is about as good as it gets on radio. I love it.
The sad part is that's true. I mean,
yes. That wasn't not really a
killer. Yeah, yes. That wasn't deprecating. That was a cry for help is what that was.
Has it worked?
No.
Well, you've told the story many times. If you're in sports radio, I guess unless you're like a really good-looking guy, this is not Poon Central. You're not. This is not going to be. You get to run roughshod through a bunch of women as big-time sports radio hosts. And I think there are some who have, but most.
But it ain't because they're in sports talk radio, right? Like that's the thing. When you're young and you're single, like I'm married, right? So you're basically married. So like when you're young and you're single and you're kind of like, oh, it's got to be great. You're on the radio. I'm like, yeah. It's fantastic, 45-year-old, guys like are right in my dating avenue. Like, when you're 27 years old doing sports talk radio, there aren't a lot of 25, 26, 27, 28, 29-year-old chicks listening to you.
I will say if you land a chick, there is the potential that you have extra juice in the relationship if the dad or the brothers are sports fans.
That helps, yeah, because it means dad. Women always want to please dad.
Mm-hmm. So if the woman goes to dad and is like complaining about you, the dad's probably like, I don't think so. I think Soren's right. Just kind of shuts it down real quick. They're like, he drinks beer, touts the biz on the air. He knows sports. You might want to come back in a couple of days and rethink this approach on going anti-Soren.
My wife told her father when I began dating her, oh yeah, I'm dating this guy. He's like, what's he do? He's in radio. Oh, you got to get rid of him. Those guys never stick around.
He's gonna be bouncing around his whole career.
Yeah, 15 years later. Thanks, Jim.
You want to talk? You want to talk Jacob Turner, the pitcher in the major leagues? You want to talk Josh Turner, the country singer, or do you want to talk Justin Turner?
I could go. I think I called him something else too. Was it? Which one is it? Justin? Jacob?
It's Justin. Yeah.
Who's Jacob Turner?
Pitcher who was like a high top 10 pick and bounced around a little bit, hard thrower, but never.
That's what I think I was calling him today
as a starter. Yeah. We go actually at this house. We actually refer to him as Giants Bane. He's the one of the Game of Thrones characters with the giant beard. So we go with that, but we know his name. We know his name.
Which? Oh, you mean the guy from the north, the red haired? Yeah, he does look like that. He does look like that. Now that I've seen the Game of Thrones,
you finally caught up.
I did. Last fall, I guess I grinded. I loved it. It was fantastic. Is there anything to say? I mean, shouldn't we all universally be on the same page with this?
By the way, we both did. It's actually a misnomer. Doing national radio, there's a better chance of you get no benefit from it. Although, I will say I hooked up with a chick.
I don't think he's talking about the kind of national sports radio we did, where like
what are you talking like Cowherd? Well, of course, if you're like Dan Patrick and you're like, I make $4 million a year, there's gonna be women who are like, okay, great.
We make slightly less just for those that are new to the broadcast when we did national radio.
The dorks who are doing overnights and I won't mention names or rhymes with, but those guys aren't getting. They're not landing took us. I will say I did have a one night stand with a chick in Vegas who may have been pregnant. I don't know. She had a belly. But I swear to God, the next week I think she called into the show, and I was like, oh shit. I'm like, guys, it was a quick hookup. Let's not. And she was from Kansas City.
Whoa.
Yeah. Totally different than anyone you know. It was a total stranger. So
okay. I was going through a Rolodex there. I was like, wait a minute.
No. Well, I mean, let's not do rhymes with, but I still think one of the ladies that I met through you, I still think that she was on the outs with her husband, and I was actually the side piece, which is kind of amazing when you look back on it.
It's not a horrible spot to be in, especially where you were at that time.
Yeah. So then she just cut me off, like would not call back, and then I was like, "What's going on? I can't believe this happened." And it didn't register at the time, and then a couple years later, I'm like, "Yeah, she was just taking a break." What are you gonna do?
Yeah, you know what I had to do to get out of how you ended up knowing her was. Yeah. I'm sure it was. Trust me, it was a lot more painful on my end.
I know. Might have been on the monetary front too. Rich, you know what? I don't know enough about is Gottlieb's married, right?
Yes, with kids. Yeah.
All right, let's get out of this conversation. All right, Justin Turner, because I have a lot of questions, but you have relationships you got to protect. Justin Turner. Yeah, there's not much to say about it. Yeah, there's not much to say about it. What he did last night was pure buffoonery. Stupid.
But how come there's like, am I the only one? Has there been outrage today? Have I just not been watching because my 14-year-old daughter has sucked me into news because she's an information junkie? So like I watched like tonight's Sporting played, and I'll go back and watch it again, but I watched it with no sound on one of the side TVs while I watch news stuff with my 14-year-old because that's her thing. She wants to watch news with dad. Let's go. And so I've been sucked into that. Did I miss it? Like I thought post-game on Fox and post-game on ESPN last night, like they were missing the story. Like I said, tell me if I'm wrong. I said today, like I was thrilled that baseball grinded through 60 games and had a postseason. I think it's one of the great accomplishments ever. And I think we owe, if you're a football fan, you owe a thank you to baseball. Because if baseball didn't grind through it and show that you could come out the other end, even when you had problems, I don't think we'd be having a football. I don't know that we'd have a football season. I definitely don't know that we'd finish a football season without baseball going first and making it happen. So I have tremendous respect for Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association. And I don't know if you heard Tim Kirchin, but he was giddy as a little schoolgirl that they had made it and the World Series happened. And, he's one of those just baseball nerds, right? I don't know people. I like Tim Kirkjian. I like anybody who's passionate about something, right? He clearly has just a ridiculous passion for baseball. Jason Stark's my guy. I love Jason Stark. He's got a ridiculous passion for baseball. I love those guys. And Kirkjian, it's like he was so excited to come on if you clicked over to ESPN and just be goo over the fact that the baseball was done. It was a 6-game series, it wasn't 7, but it was a really good and compelling 6-game series with a lot of great storylines. And he wanted to revel in baseball. And that wasn't the story. In the midst of a national pandemic, some dumb motherfucker walking out there who's COVID positive and hanging out and sitting next to a cancer survivor, taking photos with no mask and kissing his wife with no mask. I think that's the story, but have I lost my mind? Is this like the senior moment where I don't know what a story is anymore? Because I think this should have been a bigger deal. And it's kind of like, shitter, huh? Bummer. Am I missing the boat?
I'll say it was 50-50, but that means it's a pretty significant story if it's going to be even with the win of the World Series and all the stories on the Dodgers and the Rays. Yeah, it was a big story. I thought last night on social media, it instantly turned from, and a lot of it was going to be, LA fans being really happy and then other people around the country shitting on the Dodgers. But it quickly went from that to you just got overwhelmed on social media by people annihilating Justin Turner. It was a big story. It was a big story. Did it get covered by any of the networks?
It's in all the way.
What's interesting? I saw someone tweet earlier that all 3 major networks on their nightly news tonight barely covered the actual game, and it was all about Turner. So okay. You're right. For the big picture, people in sports, a lot of us are just exhausted with the goddamn COVID. And it's another guy like I said it on the air. When I saw Justin Turner without him, first of all, coming back on the field, right, which was weird. Then he's maskless. At first I was like, all right. But I wasn't. But the thing is, I wasn't shocked because there's been so much dumbassery. Right. But that doesn't mean it's a non-story. You still need to. And I had totally forgotten going into today's show about Dave Robertson cancer. Adam Hill brought that up, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, "That's right."
He's an at-risk guy. So listen, all right, I'll step away. Maybe it has blown up and been bigger, and I just haven't been on it. But let's go back to while it's happening. They weren't saying shit. I'm like, this is this. You've got a guy on the field who's positive, and they're just like, oh, the Dodgers, since 1988 and all the times, and Kershaw, aren't you happy for Kershaw? Yes, he's been around a guy who's COVID positive for the last 6 hours, and he's not wearing a mask, and he's got his newborn kid. Yeah, let's talk about the fact that poor old Clayton Kershaw finally got his World Series. You're shitting me? Maybe, like I said, maybe it did come around today, but last night, last night we weren't getting anything, right? I was just like, I don't, and I do get the COVID fatigue. So let's pivot and we'll finish this up with this.
Oh, here's the thing: we don't have to finish because I think what we're seeing from you is that you watch different coverage than maybe everyone. I mean, that's the mainstream sports coverage.
Yeah, I watch Fox and ESPN after the game.
And then I'll admit, I don't watch post games. Well, first of all, we were doing the late night pod last night when that was all rolling out. But I get most of my news from social media, whatever makes it there, whatever writers are saying there, and TV and radio personalities are saying there. That's where I get my take from. So I thought there was a lot of reaction, but it doesn't surprise me that the guys who are closest to baseball, and I don't want to just smear them and say, hey, they're not real journalists, but those who have to
We lose Steve. Well, somebody froze. Well, if it's me, we'll know shortly.
Maintain relationships. You are still there. You are still there. I think I'm there.
Sorry.
Yep.
I'm a hard one. I am not. I want to be. Well, let me double check for you.
No, that was me. It has to be me.
I'm not hooked into my printer. So this time I'm not on the Wi-Fi. I'm hardwired.
No, I know. Again, this is conspiratorial. QAnon, Steve. Cox Cable locally came out with some upgraded cable package, not cable package, computer package, Ethernet package, whatever, internet access package. And I swear to God, they've been effing with me for 3 weeks. So I call and I'm like, all right, let's upgrade. Because the other one was last month. I went on vacation for a week. I went 20% over my limit. Like, how is that possible?
Don't.
They're messaging me. They're like, hey, I got to raise your rate this much money. They want me to call and then bump to the next super speed. They're jerking with me.
I'm top of the food chain on mine, and it's not a conversation we want to have. It's not, because like every 2 weeks, like, no internet. Oh, we recognize, so remember, there is an outage in your area. Be rest assured, we're doing everything we can. No, you're not doing everything you can, but I'm not going down there. I want to say this. I saw CJ Cartsman said ESPN covered it a lot. Right? When? I would just ask when. When did they cover it a lot? Because they did not immediately following the game. And I feel like, and I'm with you, and I feel like people, there's COVID fatigue. We've all got it. And we're not going to talk about it all night here tonight, but I still think the biggest story is the biggest story. And you're obligated to cover it. And not just, we had all these ready to go stats about the Dodgers, and we're going to barf them out there no matter what. It's like, there should have been cameramen running out on the field, filming this, and let's zoom in here and let's watch. Let's count who all is he close by. How many people is there contact? Because here's the deal. And so maybe it was a bigger deal than I thought of. It definitely wasn't last night, at least on those mainstream things. And here's what I want you to watch. If they announce that Dave Roberts is positive in 5 days, Clayton Kershaw's positive in 5 days, Clayton Kershaw's wife, Clayton Kershaw's baby, his wife, Turner's wife, let's watch the reaction then, right? And then here's what I would ask you, and this is what I asked today. What is the penalty going to be? For the Dodgers, for Dave Roberts, which people couldn't believe I brought up a penalty for Dave Roberts, and for Justin Turner. At the end of the day, what's the penalty going to be? They're not going to put it out tomorrow because they're going to wait and see, right? Mm-hmm. There's no doubt. If half the Dodgers have it, it's going to be worse. But think about if they were going to play a Game 7. They could not have played a Game 7 tonight after that.
No.
He was on the field.
Dude, we were looking at Game 7 going down in like 2 weeks.
Yes.
3 weeks.
Yes.
You'd have to shut it down. You could I guess they could claim, hey, 3 days in a row with no positive test. Christ, we saw the Titans have 27 guys test positive, and it took like 12 days for it to finish.
Well, one of two things would happen. Either one, we'd wait 2 weeks, or two, they would jam through and say that no, they tested negative. And like, listen, boys, we need the payday of Game 7, and you want your checks. So let's all get this fucking thing done, and then we'll figure it out later. But I will tell you this. They are going to start baseball in a COVID world, right? When 21 starts up, spring training, mid-February, there's not going to be a vaccine that has been served up to 330 million people across the country, right? So they're going to start with no media at spring training and no fans in the spring training stands is my prediction. And they're going to have to collectively bargain with the Players Association, which is a year away from having to do a new CBA. And the players all signed off on they would do these deals so that they would get paid. The owners have lost, $3.1 billion collectively. So call that about $100 million a team, right? More for the bigger clubs, less for the smaller clubs. That's what they've lost. And you've got somebody who just thumbed his nose at the protocols, and you've got to start another season where you fucking damn well want to play 162 games because you need the revenue. And you want to get to a point that you can get some fans in there, but you definitely need 162 games of TV revenue. And you got a guy who just went, to the protocols. Like, you cannot go into next season having a Cardinals outbreak and the big outbreaks we had in baseball. They're not going to tolerate it. So, like, I think the owners are going to come down on the MLBPA and say, we're coming down hard. We're going to make an example, and your jackasses better have our back. Like, what do you think he's going to get? I'll end this.
I don't trust Manfred at all. I think Manfred would much prefer the opposite, which is he tested positive. If they get out of it clean and no one else tests positive, I think Manfred subscribes to they'll forget. That's his mantra. They'll forget. He thinks that all the time. Oh, they'll forget. Like, no, the Astros, the fans will forget. No, we didn't fucking forget. So when you slapped him on the wrist and none of the players got penalties and you were stupid and promised immunity, no, we haven't forgotten. And that was they'll forget. No, Bobby, we're not going to forget.
So, but that's fresh in his mind, and he knows that didn't go well. And he's got all his excuses why he didn't do more with the Astros, but it ultimately did not help him, right? So you don't think he's going to try to read the room?
Nope.
Okay, so give me a prediction.
Big fine, like 10 games. I mean, someone said I didn't see it, so I'm going to take your word on it. But Max Kellerman said a full year suspension for Turner, based on what? What are they going to use the NFL as an example? The NFL's done nothing except fine guys money.
No one in the NFL has done anything like this. No one has been positive.
We just had it happen here. Jesus Christ, Trent Brown tests positive. He's not wearing the fucking tracking device. Other guys on the team aren't masking up. Listen to this part. After Trent Brown tests positive on Monday, he and Johnny Abram are out shopping for shoes.
Oh, all right, I digress. I didn't know that.
After all and that's with the Raiders being fined $565,000 before that.
I didn't know that.
Justin Turner can actually use the excuse like, hey, I was emotional. I lost my head. I got caught up in the moment. I lost it.
Well, all right. So what suspension would you? I still think it's going to be more than you think. What suspension would you hand down?
I'm going to sound like a softie. I would do. Well, I'd like to do like 25 games and a hefty fine, but this is the other thing you have to consider all the time in baseball.
You don't get paid when you're suspended.
Right. That's the thing. Like, listen, guys were on their way to death in baseball, and the Players Association was like, "Yep, Ken Caminiti, we got his back." They will fight anything to protect the overall interest of the players. So that's the other. Like, Manfred has to consider if I levy. You know what? Actually, I'll retract that. Fuck considering that. Hand down the penalty and then let the Players Association look like dickheads. Yeah, you want to fight it? Then you're the bad guy.
I would hand down 80 games to Turner, 20 games to Dave Roberts, and I would fine the Dodgers whatever is more than any team has ever been fined.
Okay.
Because I think this is public health, right? This is like, and you agreed to what the protocols would be. And
Carvelli
not ready to go into a collective bargaining agreement. And I don't know why you would tiptoe around.
Carvelli 15 games, Ray 81. Okay, it's a little gap in there. Little gap. CJ Cards fan says I don't trust baseball at all after the Astros situation. So
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. I'll take that.
Dude, I'm telling you, they will go with the approach of most people will forget. It's the off season now, and the other thing is to go back to the media, like the baseball media people. And again, I'll make reference to old situations. Seren, many of the guys who were leading the way in reporting baseball, maybe not Passan because he's younger, but many of the guys were the same guys around in the mid 90s into the early 2000s who were like, just turn your head. Oh, there's creatine in the locker. Oh, that guy's got fucking back zits. Oh, that dude somehow in the off season, put on 40 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, those guys were us too, Steve.
I know it was. I've admitted it many times. I've admitted it on the air. I'll give you another one. I sat there and kissed the ass of Shane Mosley, right, for years, doing all those boxing remotes. And meanwhile, you're like, okay. I'm like, I don't know. He's a pretty high level fighter, and it's not. And then I didn't like rake him over the coals once he tested positive. So we did it. I totally 98. I totally enjoyed that home run derby. Now I will say this in my defense, we were younger broadcasters. I don't think I was as savvy as I should have been. I wouldn't do it.
What was going on, and we didn't ever say like this is outlandish, which I will still stand by to one point that I don't want. I think they should all be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, it's me too. Yeah, because I think
this isn't a phenomenon. Yeah. Like, time's healed some wounds. The owners didn't want testing. The players didn't agree to testing. They broke no law, no rules. It's bullshit.
Yeah,
go down that road.
Yep. So Cameron says 20 games. Dodgers have to donate some coin to some sort of healthcare related charitable organization. I think they're going to get a slap on the wrist because Manfred is just this is how he deals with problems. It's just like, hey, ignore it. It's the offseason. It'll go away. So
the bigger question is how much should that dumbass owner of the Dodgers be fined for that stupid speech?
You know what's funny? I saw Stephen A. Smith ripping him. I actually didn't. You hated the speech because you read it and he had notes, or the speech itself sucked?
Both. It went on too long. Like, you're not the thing. And like, go do that. That was a victory parade speech. Yeah. Not tonight. We won the World Series speech. The speech sucked.
It made me happy that one of the poor owners in baseball actually won a championship. So I was fired up about that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I did my little
poor owners from where you sit.
I did my little small market, big market thing because I saw some Twins fans talking about being small market, and I was like, the Pohlad family is richer than Mark Walter, so shut the fuck up.
And they're also market like 14. So
they're 15.
I'm tired of the Twins riding the small market bandwagon. Minneapolis, St. Paul is a top 20 market.
Yep. San Diego, small market at number 12. By the way, where it cost to get a decent house is like $700,000, and so like there's poor areas everywhere. There's depressed areas everywhere, but San Diego's. They're big ballers when it comes to money in the market. So dude. I don't want to hear about assistance you need from up the road in LA or whoever you're getting money from. You have plenty of money, and they've got almost a loss-proof stadium experience where they can suck balls, right? They can lose 90 games, and there's 28,000 people on average who will show up at Petco because it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great stadium and an incredible city. It's like, yes, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
There you go. St. Louis, small market. It's rough.
They are. I mean, they're more than freaking Minneapolis, but it was like, everyone thinks the Cardinals are a small market because they're just a goddamn machine that is always good and always makes money. They're a beast. They're the Packers of baseball.
So when the Dodgers win 3 of the next 4 championships because they try and they're just going to keep spending and spending and spending and spending, then lesson learned, buddy. Mark Walter, get your speech up to snuff. We don't want to hear this shit anymore.
I will say this, the Clayton Kershaw, like the big pitching contracts, I've told you this, like the Mike Hamptons and the Kevin Browns and these things are going to end up being albatross.
You know what? I don't think the Dodgers will ever do that again. They got Price, who, by the way, imagine if they had David Price. Like what? I mean, that's a crazy thing. It's like we're all ripping on Dave Roberts. Like he did have a weird situation to deal with, having a bullpen through a World Series game. So who knows what they're going to be like if they get a healthy, confident, non-excuse making David Price.
Well, how about this? I mean, can we talk about the fact that the Rays played analytics all the way through, and then, according to Cash, had no plan on Blake Snell?
I think they had a plan.
Was the plan like when the third time through? No, it wasn't the plan. I just didn't want him to see it.
Oh, he said that?
Yeah, he said he had no. He said no. That was not the plan.
Stop, you're lying. That's been the plan. I was looking back. at the numbers. His Cy Young year. Everyone forgets that he was they really limited him even in the Cy Young year. He pitched 180 innings, but he pitched, I think, 14 of the 32 starts. He was less than 6 innings, and then last year they really capped it at 5, and this year they did the same thing. So that's their. I don't know. What do you think about Snell being taken out? If you consistently say, hey, the third time through the rotation, I don't care how he's doing, he's out. Do you change that after a whole season of doing it?
I think he's getting way too much shit because it is like if that's what you do, then do it. But don't stand there. Don't sit at the interview and tell me, well, it wasn't a plan. I just didn't want him to see Mookie Betts. Right? Like I think what they wanted, I said today, 2014 Game 6, the Royals and Giants. Yordano Ventura starting. He ended up going deep into the game because the Royals beat the crap out of the Giants in that game, right? So it was easy to leave the starter in there. Right. What they wanted was him to be 5-0 and go 8 innings, right? That's what they wanted, and then have everybody all hands on deck for the next day, right? That's what they wanted. It didn't work out. He was in a 1-run game, and he went and he did what they usually do. But then don't sit in the interview and say, hey, no, it wasn't a plan, right? To his credit, he said, yeah, I got it wrong. But, if you're a math team, then be a math team.
Yeah, he also, I don't know what math.
And if you're only going to let him see him twice, then start a fucking opener. That's the whole purpose.
That, and you have to adjust your plan. If Anderson's given up a run in 6 straight games, he's not going out there in Game 6 of the World Series elimination game. He's not the guy to bring in for Snell.
What I've said is, listen, the analytics are great, and it's clear the A's and Rays carry the analytics through the regular season. And personally, I believe the only reason the Rays were in the World Series is because the regular season continued. There were no off days, right? Off days in travel. You know, when you travel, you get off days, but they were playing all these one-site, playoffs. And so you were playing every single day. So the Rays' depth worked. But usually in the postseason, depth gets eliminated because you only see the best of the bullpen and the best of the starting pitching. And that neutralizes power. And they hit home runs. And if you'd had a regular postseason, I don't think the Rays would have been there.
Would you bet me right now that the Rays advance further next year in the playoffs than the Yankees? They obviously there's the risk there of both of them making the playoffs, but who knows? By the way, who knows what Bobby Manfred's going to do with this playoff system? It might be 12 on each side next year.
No, I mean he wants 14 is what he wants, but no, I would not. I think the Rays advanced because you had to play regular season baseball, and they and the A's are built to win regular season games. But there's a difference when you get into the postseason, and you have to you weed out the middle relievers, the back end starters. But that didn't end up happening because you had to play 5 days in a row.
Is there, on the big contract, is there a big market team that you expect to see them give Trevor Bauer? I'll just go 6 years. 6 years, $210 million.
If Bauer does what he says, he's only going to sign 1-year deals.
Well, is that right?
That's what he said.
Why is that?
Because it's what he wants to do. He wants to be a free agent every year and be able to pick wherever he wants to go.
That's kind of cool.
That's not financially wise, but yeah, somebody will offer tons of money. He's a big pain in your ass.
That's the problem. And I think market's important. Like a guy who talks that much, say if it were the Yankees, I don't know if that's the place to be if you like to talk a lot, especially if.
Where does he play next year?
I guess it depends on it. Is he really going to sign 1-year deals?
That's what he said. We'll see what ends up happening.
I mean, what would I do?
Well, you and team-wise, it's got to match up, right?
Let me look at the markets. My first market is if it's only a 1-year deal and it's like, hey, 1 year, $25 million, and I would go to the Padres.
Okay. What if the Padres are offering 25 and that's all they'll offer, who would give him 30? I'll give you one. There's one team that absolutely, in my opinion, has to do it.
American League or National League?
American.
White Sox?
Nope. They could do it. They're a fine candidate. I'm not saying that's not a bad choice. There's one team that absolutely has to do it.
Astros?
Nope.
Still don't have it, huh? Twins?
Nope.
Red Sox?
They're not a playoff team. They're not.
They're not.
Team, but they sure as shit should be based on how they've spent money, and they spent it in all the wrong way. They never spent it on
Angels.
On the hill. Who?
Angels?
Yes.
Okay, I'm down with that.
I mean that's who should be like. All right, just give us the last offer, and we'll go more.
Boy, everyone's really mad at me on the lack of Angels guesses. Calm down. Yeah, I already said it. I don't want him on the Yankees. Sorry.
I'd love him on the Royals.
What I want the Yankees to do is what I would do. I want the Yankees to go, one, I want them to badger both Tanaka and Paxton. Like, you fucking owe us, both of you, okay? You owe us. You know how much money we gave you? Now, I wouldn't rely on those guys. Those guys would, like, literally be 4 and 5 in my plan, and I would make sure the young guys would be, like, 5, 6, 7, and I'd still try to go out and get some sort of hammer for decent money. But, yeah, I don't want to see the Yankees sign. Trevor Bauer in New York is a disaster. Because if he gets off to a good start, the media is going to kill him.
Who always comes in with a signing on this?
What are you saying?
The Rangers. The stupid Rangers are going to get in the middle of it. That's who's going to get him. They always do some shit like that.
Yeah, this is you didn't listen to what I was saying there. You owe us. If you're the Yankee, yeah, Tanaka, you're going to pitch on a 1-year deal for 10 mil, for 8 mil. You're coming at a big discount, okay? Because we paid you freaking 22 for 5+ years.
Works. Good call, Steve.
What's that on the cheap front?
Yeah, no,
Or that they make.
telling a player you owe us. That always the guilt trip. It always works.
It never works, but unrealistic fan.
All right, let's go.
I could do baseball all night. Let's do it. You don't want to.
No, I love baseball. You know that. I love all sports, so it doesn't matter. I'll talk about any shit.
I'm going to make, before we get to our football leans, do I really think, no, it was sarcasm. There's no fucking player who's going to play somewhere for a discount. No. It was a joke that I'd like to see come true. The Big Ten by Monday. Here's a prediction. Big Ten by Tuesday. By Tuesday, we'll say that 21 game, check that, 21 day thing for COVID. We're going to knock it down to 7.
I don't think they'll go that far.
News came out. Interesting timing. Russ Dellinger at SI said, good news. Research has shown with players who have tested positive that there's almost no heart damage now. So Big Ten is going to take this into account. Barry Alvarez was quoted as saying, hey, we got to look at this. The Big Ten, like reality just hit them. They're like, wait, our top team, one of our top 3 or 4 teams that could actually get into the playoff as like a second team out of the Big Ten, Wisconsin, we're going to take their quarterback away for 21 days. We can't do this. So we got to come out with some fake doctor thing that says the heart thing, we're fine. Yeah, new research, we're all good. It's 1 week. That's it. Guarantee they change it next week. And I don't even think it'll be 14 days. 21 days is crazy. And then when reality hits and you're like, wait, the SEC's not keeping guys out 21 days. Fuck, I don't even know if the SEC's keeping
14,
some of the guys out.
I know it's 14 in the Big 12. I think it's 14 in the SEC as well, isn't it?
If they tell you who tested positive. If they actually follow the rules.
Well, I don't think there are any rules that they have to test because Eli Drinkwitz made it clear that he was pissed that teams weren't being transparent about who was and was not testing positive.
Yep. So it'll change next week in the next week in the Big Ten. So
by the way, have I told you that Eli Drinkwitz is a rock star in the making?
No.
Okay. Well, you just right there, write it down.
I'm going to say my favorite guy in the SEC, and God almighty, I still don't get Missouri in the SEC. It just sounds weird. My guy is Pittman at Arkansas. He's not Mangino, but he is morbidly obese. And I love when he walks across the field after he's got a victory. I don't think he's going to make it to midfield half the time. They got to get that guy a fucking scooter. But that said, how awesome would that be, by the way, if there was a coach, he's just so fat, he's like, I can't do it. They get some big ass tires on the scooter, and he's just going across on the scooter, elbowing some big boy SEC team that he just pulled an upset on. But I love Sam Pittman, and he's done a really good job. Think about this.
But before you go too far, I he has done a good job as well. Consider this: Missouri won the bidding war for Drinkwitz over Arkansas.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that. All right. Why is he a rock star?
I'm just telling you, having covered him, we'll see. Maybe I shit the bed hard on this one.
Yeah.
The guy checks every box. Like he does the media thing, which college media, half of them it's a bunch of young guys and whatever. There's only a handful of us guys that, and not that they do a bad job, but they're not going to challenge him. He's already chastised the media once for the questions. He didn't like the questions that they were asking. They were asking one of the wideouts, like, why weren't you a bigger part of the offense? And, Drinkwitz hears about it and he comes on. He's like, all right, listen, first of all, you got questions about who gets what? Like, you ask me. All right. Don't put our kids in a bad spot. Because they basically corner the kid into being like, I can't throw the ball to myself.
Yeah.
Right. Which then makes the quarterback look bad. And that was before they'd gone completely to Bazelak, that's the other thing, is like he's got a kid he didn't recruit who's now looking like one of the better young quarterbacks in college football. That's a reason to like the guy. But he checks number one, Bazelak. He's got a quarterback that like nobody's ever heard of who had a 400-yard game against LSU, which I get it because I was the guy that LSU people were shitting on because I had him ranked the lowest in the country, my preseason AP top 25. And so I get that, right? But so I understand. I'm not shocked that I picked Missouri to take that game to the wire and maybe win it. But like that's still a very talented LSU team. He looked good. They backed it up by winning again against a good Kentucky team. Right now they're going to go down to Florida, and I like him plus the points at Florida. Right, they're up to getting 13, and I think people do not understand that Drinkwitz knows what he's doing. He is a uber aggressive, knows the analytics, gets the recruiting, builds a staff, has a quality staff. I'm just telling you, you just watch. Like when I talk to him in press conferences, he does a great job of not shitting on somebody while shitting on them. He can do that. I tried to pin him down. I set him up, right, with a question because so Florida, Dan Mullen is out there saying we should have 91,000 people in the stadium, and then his team shits the bed hard with COVID, right? And he gets it as well. And by the way, Dan Mullen had a ridiculous comment today on the SEC conference call.
I saw it.
About 17 hypocritical parts in a 2-minute and 20-second soundbite we played.
Was he such a yutz when what was he at Mississippi State? Do I have that right? Where the hell was he?
Yeah, he's a stud coach too. He's Urban Meyer Jr. He's the guy who got like Tom Herman, just like kind of was around. The fairy dust from Urban Meyer's on Dan Mullen. I think Dan Mullen.
Right. No, I think he's a good coach.
I think jackass when it comes to getting what's important in society.
His comment was what about voting?
Oh, why are we taking the day off for voting? Yep. This isn't good for player health. We ramp up to the game. Now we're having to practice on Sunday. And he's like, our schedule. Meanwhile, his inability to manage the COVID situation made Missouri come out and prep for Vanderbilt. Oh, no, now we're going to Florida. Oh, no, now we're going to Kentucky. Right?
Hey, Dan, how come there's a big time crunch getting ready for games? It's your fucking fault. If you had managed COVID and actually showed it some respect, Mr. COVID a little respect, then you wouldn't be freaking scrambling election week.
It's just like the whole like, well, we're not taking classes off. Yeah, no, we're not. And like, guys have time to vote. Like I voted early. Yeah, well, other states don't have early voting, jackass. And this is an NCAA. It just speaks to how tone deaf coaches are. How much they've given everything they possibly want if they're a winning coach.
It's win at all costs.
But you just wait and see if in 2 years, like Drinkwitz is being hired at USC, or he's going Matt Rule and being hired in the NFL.
Really?
I said, we play a game. How does it end? Every time a new coach comes around, or any time, like, okay, here we sit today. How does it end for this guy? So how does it end for Drinkwitz at Missouri? And I said it ends with him either landing a top shelf job or an NFL job.
How does it go over like 4 games into a coach's career when you're like, sucks, fired, 3 years? Have you done that?
First of all, I did that with Drinkwitz before he never coached a game. So
shit.
That one. So I tabbed him to go Matt Rule to the NFL. I said, if I got to pick one thing, I go big or go home. I'll say he's hired to the NFL, right? He's the next Matt Rule. He does so well at Missouri, the NFL goes, we got to have this guy. How does it go over? Like when you say Les Miles is just Charlie Weiss part dieu. When the whole fan base agrees, like it goes over fine.
Yeah, on the Mullen voting thing, I'd like to. I want to look into the availability of early voting, and I don't know what the deal is in Florida. So, by the way, what's it like in your 2 states?
In Kansas, we can early vote. I've already voted. I voted by mail, but we dropped it in the box.
What a nightmare!
I took it in the box. I didn't want to mess around with the mail, so I voted. What do we call it? Absentee or early or whatever. But we also have early voting where it's open for like 3 weeks. The polls are open. And you can go.
How's you said Kansas? How's Missouri?
Missouri, you can get the mail-in ballots, but if you're going to vote touching the screen, you got to go day of.
By
the way, I'm looking at Missouri. I live in Kansas, and I'm looking at Missouri out my window. You know how I live on right by state line, and so.
Sorry, man. No early voting in your state, or very limited early voting. That reeks of voter suppression to me. I'm sorry. We're way too advanced. That's bullshit. If you live in one of those states, like my brother lives in Alabama, and I was chatting with him the other day. And he's like, yeah, there's no early voting in Alabama. I'm like, yep, sounds about right.
Yeah.
Stupid.
I got a guy I work with, African-American guy, Darren. He's telling me, he has me, I was on his show talking, and he's like, voting and this and that. And I said, and he was talking about where he lives, the 2 districts. He said he regularly waits like 4, 5, 6 hours to vote. I said, you're kidding me.
That's outrageous.
You know what the longest I've ever waited to vote? 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
My line, because there were some long lines in early voting in Nevada. People were really, coming out of the gates all fired up. So there were some long lines in certain places, but Like I went on Monday and it got really it dropped like 25 degrees in temperature here, and the wind picked up. What's that?
Down to 80?
No, it was probably about 55 on Monday, and it was real windy.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, well, here it is. Yeah, and we're pansies here, so I get out to the early voting site. There's like 4 people in line. I'm like, bingo. So,
oh, dude,
yeah, I haven't waited. I don't think I've ever waited more than 10 minutes in my life. I choose to not live in states that are freaking ass backwards. In 2020, we're still forcing everyone to vote on election day. Come on.
Yeah. Well, so trust me.
Redonkulous.
Yeah. I like the whole voting thing. It's like my eyes were open to how bad I was like, I thought that's someplace else. Or I thought that was other people. You know, like other states. Like I didn't think anyone in my community, like Kansas or Missouri, would have to wait to vote. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a jackass.
America. All right. You want to do some super contest?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do we want to whine about last week?
Which one?
We went 2-2-1. The tie is kind of horseshit, but the Browns didn't exactly dominate the game. But the Browns missed an extra point at the end.
Missing the extra point is bullshit, but also going down the field for a touchdown with 55 seconds, down 3, laying 3.
Yeah.
With 55 seconds and no timeouts, and then getting the touchdown on a 45-yard touchdown pass?
Pretty miraculous.
So, like, I'll take the push.
Yeah. That was not a great play.
My bigger rub is the Seahawks.
Yeah, I fucked that up. You know,
I disagree. I think we had the right side.
Well,
won the game.
The Seahawks also screwed themselves because the Cards were going to settle for a field goal late, and then the Seahawks get a penalty, first down. You know, then you give life to the comeback. If I'm correct, I think the Cardinals scored a touchdown there, and then
they did. They took a field goal off, and
so that's just. Now I'm going to bring up one other, Seren. Are we playing the Chiefs or not?
This week?
Every week.
I told you, well, you didn't do it the first 2 weeks. Right? Then you want to get on board. And
the numbers are going to suck.
The reason we didn't, all right, just to be clear, the reason we didn't play the Chiefs, it was 9, we had to play 9.5, and it was already 7.
7, yep.
And I don't like laying an extra 2.5 points. Now, had we committed before the year that we're going to play the Chiefs, because I said the Chiefs will go at least 10-6 against the spread. They're what, 5-2 now?
5-2 ATS, 71%, because you were pretty confident that they were going to go out and probably post a 10 11, and a 10-6 or an 11-5. And at 10-6, you're 62.5%. At 62.5% in the Super Contest, you're probably in the top 100.
Yeah, well, but if you can just set that one aside,
right?
No, I'm going to go 62.5% on number 5.
Yep.
Then we can be successful on 1 through 4. That's a recipe to win. So I said we should consider this, right? And likewise, here moving forward, you should consider, like, there should have been a point, or maybe even looking at where Jets, anti-Jets, right? But I think most people thought the Jags and Panthers were going to duel it out for the worst teams, right? Because the Jets showed some fight. But at this number right now, if it gets to 20, it's 19.5. So I guess at 19.5, we should probably play the Chiefs. If it gets to 20, the answer is no, because 20-point spreads since the merger, 13 of them.
Yeah.
The favorite is outright 13-0, but against the number, they're 3-10.
Interesting, because 17 plus overall. Where'd you get your numbers from? Since 2011, I have 17 plus point favorites. Since 2011 or 8-2 ATS. So I don't think our numbers mesh.
That could have been 17.5, 18.5.
Yeah. Like
there aren't many 20s. This isn't a 20.
Right.
I honestly, you clearly play the Chiefs or don't play it, which I would, if I were just walking to the window, I wouldn't play it. Because coaches have empathy. Now, if I could find out that Andy Reid thinks Adam Gase is a piece of shit, then I would play the Chiefs. Seriously, that's the most important piece of information. The only reason the Chiefs won't cover is because they have mercy. But if Andy Reid doesn't like them, if for some reason back in the day, Gase said this or that about Reid at some awards banquet, and Reid thinks he's a piece of shit, well, then lay the house on the Chiefs.
My God. The leader of the super contest on just the regular super contest side, that's the $1,500 entry that we're in, is right now picking at 85%.
We're not doing bad.
No, we're doing fine. We're doing fine. We're like 57.5%.
What are we, 20?
I think we're 20-14-1.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought we were going to be 22. I thought we were going to be 22-13.
I was feeling confident about the Seahawks. I was good there. I was feeling real good.
I actually felt good about the Bears.
So did I.
And I think if you run that back, the Bears can play a lot better. I think that was just their game plan sucked. They got it wrong. Rams got you. It happens sometimes. Raiders got the Chiefs. It happens sometimes. You know, any team, if you're not sharp, one team can beat another one.
You wanted to take the Jags, right? They couldn't bring it in.
They were one of the games in my consideration, yes.
Right. I wanted the Steelers, but I backed off that one. So, bitch. All right, here are the lines this week.
What was the other one we lost? We lost the Seahawks. We pushed the Browns. Oh, and the Bears. And then we won easy with what? Green Bay and who?
I'm looking. Here we go. Midlife crisis. You're just making me feel bad about my lack of memory. We had Browns, Panthers. That was a solid one. Panthers were in that game the whole game.
7.5, and they almost won outright.
Browns, Panthers, Packers, Seahawks, Bears.
Yeah. Okay. So now this week.
Left out the Bills, the Jags, the Chiefs. Woo! You had one more that you were in favor of.
Who was that?
Cowboys. Hello.
Oh, we didn't play it.
Thank God. Football team.
Jump on it now?
What's that?
You want to jump on them this week?
We'll get to it, man.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think I'd lay 7.5 with the Eagles. How about you?
No.
That's a crazy number, but are you ready to play whatever his name is, Ben DiNucci?
No. But I also don't like laying the 7.5, so I don't like the game. I think it's. What do you think of the board today, this week?
There's a lot of road favorites, which makes me. There's a lot of short road favorites with popular teams. You're going to have some balls to play some of these games that I'm interested in playing some shitty teams at home plus points, but we'll see. It's not Sunday yet or not Saturday when we have to put in the picks. What do you think of the board?
I think it's kind of crafty. I think it's you're going to earn your money this week.
Let's see. Thursday night we never put it in. I mean, we're pretty much you and I are both stymied by the Falcons, right?
I can't. They continually find ways to lose, and the number keeps being small enough that they got to win to cover.
It really is amazing. I mean, last week is just. I feel so bad for Todd Gurley. There is audio out today where Matt Ryan, he did say it in the huddle repeatedly, like, don't score the touchdown. And Gurley just brain farted for a second and then tries to fall sideways. And you've never seen a guy more depressed in NFL history to score a touchdown and the defense more jubilant about the touchdown. Like one of the defensive players is like, hands up, like, touchdown. That's a touchdown. Let's go. So fired up. Now, the Falcons defense had to suck ass to let the Lions go right down the field and score. And there he is, magical Matt Stafford, right? Always coming up big in the clutch.
He's huge. One touchdown, making it happen.
Crafty is a great word for Colts and Lions. We have a good read on either one of these teams, especially the Lions. You were kind of bullish on Stafford, especially.
I really did. Stafford's been a big disappointment to me. We got burnt a couple of times on the Lions because Stafford played really well for whatever 8 games he played last year, and I thought he would recapture that. And Kenny Golladay being down has hurt. They're better with Golladay. So I'm kind of the mindset that the Lions are the play because I do think the Colts are overrated. Their defense was overrated. They're a good team, but not a great team. And Phillip Rivers is at least managing the turnovers. But doesn't it feel like the Colts should be a bigger margin here?
Yes.
I like if I was one gaming this, I would play the Lions on the money line or as part of a parlay outright or with the points. But when it gets down under 3, I think the value is more in the is on the money line and getting the extra returns. But I lean Lions here, but I'm kind of a, like you said, I was bullish on Stafford. I was bullish on the Lions as dogs when the year began. They're a mild dog here. I wish this was a 6, 5.5. I love the Lions. 2.5. The Lions are my side. What about you?
One, to go back to Thursday Night Football, I think we're basically saying it's a no play. We don't get involved in Falcons games. This may be the first Thursday game where I don't have any pregame action. And by the way, I might be like 10% ATS on all my bets on Thursday night, so I need to stop. It's been awful. I had Eagles. Let's see. Last week I had I like the Giants. I crowed about it on the air. I got laughed at. They were +5. That covered. But I didn't make the regular bet. Instead, I bet the Giants alternate line at -3.5. They were 300. I'm sitting pretty the entire game, and then I get fucked at the end. Now, that all said, I also had the over 44.5. The game finished, at 43, right? Because the Eagles didn't kick a field goal, didn't score a touchdown once inside the 5, and missed two-point conversions. So thank you, betting gods. Just absolute wipeout. I don't really have a side. I got to read more on the Colts and how healthy they're getting. Phillip Rivers just makes me nervous going into any game, laying points. And it's on the road. I know it's a short road trip, but
get the better quarterback and points. That's not a bad thing. And I got to believe Stafford's going to be able to throw some touchdowns at some point. I think with Golladay back, he's better. And so that should be syncing up and getting going. So the Lions are in play for me.
All right. So far, you might be right. Mr. Tiger Gator, you might be right on that one. Packers 6.5 against the Vikings. Vikings, another one of those teams that we have just not had a good time betting. I'm a Packers stan. I'm a Rodgers stan. 6.5, though? What do you think?
I think the Packers we've been doing very well on the Packers because everybody thinks their defense sucks and they were a product of schedule last year. I think the Packers are good. I think Aaron Rodgers is as sharp as he's been, at least in a while. And so I've really liked the Packers. I think we've gotten great line value. In fact, last week we had the Packers against the Texans, and what was our conversation? Why aren't they laying more? Right? For whatever reason, nobody wants to believe the Packers. Now, the Vikings are getting just 6.5. They traded Ngakoue, which looks like a wave the white flag, and they're only getting 6.5. I mean, this again to me is undervaluing the Packers, but it's a conference game, and I saw what Ryan was saying. I know what he's thinking, but Vikings at home, Vegas isn't willing to make this 7. I do hate the Vikings secondary. They got real problems there. I think I'm on the Vikings because I think the whole world is going to be on the Packers.
Can I bring up, this is a weird factor, because this one shocked me. Is Zimmer all in this year? Like, he's such an intense guy. I would never question his motivation. Is he all in? Is he distracted? Are we confident this is like classic Mike Zimmer?
And what would be the motivation to not be?
What exactly is happening here? Mike Zimmer's girlfriend, Katerina Elizabeth, makes her return to IG with a banger. What? By
the way, what is a banger?
I don't know. We'll look it up. But my bigger thing is,
I've seen the kids that watch the music videos.
Oh no!
And they always say the two guys that got real popular, the twins.
Yeah. And
they always say back with another banger. So it's the only reference I had to that. Sorry, I'm not touch on the other people.
I mean, one is a sausage, so I don't think it's is there some sort of lewd photo with her and a sausage? A song with a loud, energetic beat that is good for dancing to.
Okay.
That doesn't make much sense. Is she a musician? Maybe. But aren't you mystified by that? This lady looks young enough to be his granddaughter. Is Mike Zimmer?
That's confirmed.
I mean, we'll do some research on it, but I mean, Awesemo.com is a very reputable website.
Listen, I will offer this up as a reason to get away from this game or to get on the Packers. Like, I'm not so sure that the Vikings aren't going to tank. I think Zimmer's got his job, and so why not tank and get in the Fitzgerald sweepstakes? Or Fitzgerald, Lawrence, Trevor Lawrence.
I was pausing. I'm like, okay, is that an elite receiver that I don't know about?
I don't know. No, Trevor Lawrence. My bad.
That is all. I mean, that's a mistake I would never make because I think I type out tank for Trevor every fucking day on Twitter. Like, I'm so into this Jet season, and I'm going to be.
But if you're the Vikings, aren't you all in on that now?
Of course, you have no quarterback. You're in on fuck up for Fields or flop for Fields as well. You might be in for lose for Lance from North Dakota State. You might be in, I don't know. Again, tank for Kyle Trask. They need a quarterback. They need a future quarterback.
BYU kid.
Zach Wilson, yeah. Who's got a W?
For Zach.
What was it?
Zuck for Zach.
Shaky.
Yeah, that's all I could come up with.
Got to be. I came up with like 14 Fs, but I also had to go to the thesaurus to do so. So.
Well, you're cheating.
Well, yeah, I just said I have no memory. My brain's full. I got nothing. Vocabulary is disappearing. I have to cheat sometimes. Would you like the odds back up?
I would.
Okay, let's bring those back up. Next up is Bills and Patriots. This is a fascinating game. Bills are 3.5 at home. Things have hit the shitter offensively for the Bills. The run defense ain't that great. Josh Allen doesn't look that good. That said, it seems a lot worse for the Patriots. The last 2 weeks of the Patriots were unbelievable. The Niners game against the Patriots was a coaching goddamn clinic. Little Shanny just was showing off. He's like, yeah. I've got my fifth string running back. I'm going to run so much goddamn motion. Your players will have no idea where the ball is going, who's running it. It was amazing. Normally, I'd be like, of course, we're going to go with Belichick. And I saw Ryan Carl say earlier, yeah, we're aware Belichick has dominated the series. Belichick has dominated McDermott, but I don't know, man. It might be a new day. He may not have the horses. And Cam Newton. Is this Cam Newton in a funk? Like, is he going to come out of this?
How about Cam Newton sucked at the end at Carolina? How about Cam Newton was a beaten to hell quarterback, and maybe we need to go back and look closer at the performance at Seattle? Because let's be clear, it wasn't impressive against the Dolphins in the opener. What had people thinking, okay, they're ready to roll, was what he did against Seattle. And maybe we need to take a closer look at that and see if there was some like, ooh, that was almost picked. That was almost picked. Oh, they did this clever. Seattle wasn't ready for this. Because that's kind of the calling card. I think Cam Newton looks like he might be shot. I think there is a great side in this. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure which side it is.
Right.
Right? Either like the Patriots, you're never as bad as you look, and you're never as good as you look. So I don't think the Pats are as bad as they looked against the Niners. And didn't I have the 49ers down as a game for us last week?
Maybe.
Thank you.
We should have.
But I also think like right now everyone's coming down on the Bills. And they're not as bad as they look. Right? Okay. So they come off a game with the Chiefs. First of all, they get beat by who was the first loss? Who they lose to before the Chiefs? Before the Chiefs.
Go ahead, Ryan Carl. Who is it?
Who the hell did they lose to? I forget. Well, whatever. They lost to somebody that was just okay. Dolphins. The Dolphins down in Miami? I'm thinking. Titans. Thank you. They lose to the Titans in a hard-fought game. Then they get beat by the Chiefs fairly soundly. And then they come off two monster games. They have a letdown, and they still get a win against the Jets. It's not impressive. And so everyone's leaving them for dead. I'm actually on the Bills here.
All right. I could be talking into that, but I need some time.
The big loss to the Titans?
42-16.
Oh, yeah.
Got crushed on that Tuesday.
So, listen, I like the Bills. I think people are way too down on the Bills. I think the Patriots actually suck, and people are down on the Bills, and the Bills don't suck. I'll take the Bills.
Left Coast Mike was asking if we got banned on Twitch again. Nah, I just stopped streaming it. Maybe I'll go back. I don't know. Cameron Fletcher and I were talking about Twitch, and they have all these new rules, and so fuck you. I don't know. They're all, if you're playing music and putting up pictures and stuff, they're gonna have all these rules. So whatever.
Rights and shit. Okay. Well,
I can't be bothered. I'll find somewhere else to stream it. Up yours, Twitch.
Remember when I said I wanted to ask you a question after the show?
Yeah.
It's answered.
What, Twitch?
Yeah.
Okay. I might go back. Titans and Bengals 5.5.
Where are you? I have a side.
I still don't love the Titans.
If you throw 5.5 out,
right,
like it's going to be really, it's going to take several people to shove me to the favorite.
Right. Do you think there's something going on? Like this should be 7 or 8.
Well, I think it's a tease down line, and I think teaser bets are loser bets. Ask my buddy Eric with his crafty little teaser he threw out on their PFF forecast podcast, which I'm a huge fan of, by the way. I love Eric Eager, Pro Football Focus, and George Sharuri. They're my guys. And they always pick a teaser every week. And I think teaser bets, I think you're fucking hack central. If you think you're going to live on teasers, you're going to lose your ass. Now maybe things have changed since 30 years ago when I was booking games, but teaser players were shit. They were always losers. They always got their ass handed to them. And one of the things I noticed is everybody loves to come grab the favorite at -5.5 and make them +0.5. minus 6.5. Okay, now they're -0.5. They just got to win the game. Right. Everybody loves those spots to come grab the teasers. And so generally speaking, there for a long time, it hasn't paid the same kind of dividends lately. Tease dogs at 5, 5.5, and 6, and 6.5 always did really well. There's a reason why Vegas won't take it to 7. To me, there's no bigger 2.5 to 3 or 3 to 3.5 are always big numbers, right, to consider. But I think Vegas is just like, you got to shove their ass to 7. And they'll hold on to that 6 for a reason. And so I'm about the Bengals. I think the Bengals are getting it together. They have a quarterback. They fight tough. I'm with you. I'm still not 100% convinced about the Titans. So I like the Bengals and the points.
All right. I'd side with the Bengals. I don't love the Bengals right now.
But do you love the Titans right now?
No, not at all. No, they look like ass.
I think the Titans are a 10-16.
Yeah, they look like ass in the first half, and they made a run in the second, but the Steelers were clearly the better team.
Yeah, but that scoring a bunch of points and shit when you're down. Score the points to get you in front.
Right. Browns. I'm on the Brown side here. I don't know if I like it. And I know you think we're all anti-Raiders out here, but there is a lot of turmoil. They're not running the ball well. Trent Brown might be back on Friday. I don't know, man. It's not like I love the Browns. By the way, is Odell Beckham, is it possible that he could be addition by subtraction?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. When he went down, they started going. I got no problem with the Browns.
Yeah.
I am better on the Raiders than you guys are. But I do like the Browns. I had the Browns over coming into the year. I think, did I put the Browns in the playoffs? If not, they were one of my last cuts to not make the playoffs. But I think they're a team that I'm not shocked that they're battling for a playoff spot. And I think that, Baker Mayfield has ability.
What does it say about their power rating that they're 5-2 going against a 3-3 team and they're laying 2.5?
It says the Raiders' schedule is tougher and the Browns have completely shit themselves against every good team they've played. Right? They got decked by the Ravens. And then they got housed by the Steelers, but I don't see the Ravens or Steelers opposite them. And they're at home.
Truth from Duluth is a big weather truther when it comes to the Raiders. So the weather is 52 on Sunday and rainy. 60% chance of rain.
So then you're Browns.
Yes, but I was already Browns.
Okay.
We talked about Chiefs and Jets.
Chiefs. I mean, I gave trends. You gave a trend. I mean, do you have a side?
Do I have Browns?
No,
I'm sorry. Going back to the Chiefs, do I have a side? No, because I agree with what you said. I think boy, the Jets, they do suck, and I love Adam Gase. I love what he's doing. I love what the organization's doing. Trade away as many players as possible. Actually, I made a suggestion on Monday that the Jets actually should offer Adam Gase $500,000 for every loss the rest of the way to like max motivate him. Let's line this guy's pockets because we're talking 9 games left. That's going to cost you $4.5 million. If you get Trevor Lawrence, do you realize what a Trevor Lawrence type player is worth to an organization? It's a lot more than $4.5 million over.
I debated with Adam Schefter the other day, and he's like, "Oh no, like you think coaches tank? Do you think?" I said, "Listen, no, I don't think coaches and players tank. How you tank is you strip the coach and the player. The Astros manager and players did not try to tank when they lost well over 100 games for 3 straight years. Management stripped them of all ability to win.
You have no players."
Yeah, that's how it works. Like, stop trying to convince me that managers or coaches want to win, right? Like, you're an organization. You do what it takes. You know what the worst fucking win in the world is? Number 8.
Yep.
It's the worst win. It means you suck. It means you probably got to get worse before you get better in most circumstances. There is no reason. We're going to win. We're going to win 6 instead of 4. We're going to that's the dumbest thing ever. And there's no fans in the stands to piss off. No, you play. Listen. You play the Chiefs, or you stay out of the way. But there's a lot of reason to play the Jets. I wouldn't hate somebody for playing the Jets based on the numbers I gave you. But
you agree with Ryan Carl? There's something in the line that's saying something about Miami 3.5 against the Rams.
I mean, Miami is a 3-3 team now, right?
Hmm.
And the Rams are what?
They 5-2.
5-2 with 4 wins against the NFC East and 1 win against the Bears, who everyone thinks is a complete 5-2 fraud. I actually think the line is right. I think there's more hype about the Dolphins than there is the Rams.
Yep.
And the Dolphins are at home. That being said, I come at it from a different angle, but I come to the same conclusion. I play the Dolphins or I don't play.
Okay. I think the Rams are a much better team, and I love Tua. Like, I thought going into the draft that he was the guy to get. But come on, it's his first game, and the Bears are a freaking. They're not a good offense, but the Rams defense is freaking good. It is.
I think it's got a couple of really good pieces.
Okay.
I think it's exploitable, and I think Matt Nagy had a bad game plan, and/or Nick Foles executed it poorly. Too many long throws. They're hurt by not having Cohen. I mean, I really think that's a key piece for them, and they don't have the guy that they can get the ball to out of the backfield. Foles is willing to take the ball down the field, which he showed. He stood in there like a warrior and kept swinging it for, wasn't afraid to throw an interception. He'd throw it into double coverage to try to get the ball down the field. Once they got down, he knew what they needed to do. But like when you can't block Aaron Donald, you got to have some short shit, I mean, so listen, Donald, you fear, name the Rams defensive personnel that scares you. Donald, Ramsey. They're into the lesson.
All right. I want to look up some more numbers on what their D has been. And it's hard to judge numbers because, like you said, they've gone against the NFC East for the entire gamut.
I think people are going to jump back on the Rams, and I think most people are looking at this line saying, why aren't the Rams laying more? I think it's because the Dolphins are a comparable match. And listen, take a look at the AFC East, right? The Bills are in first place with a minus point differential. Meanwhile, the Dolphins are plus 30.
All right. You made your case. Saints Bears, is that Bears or pass? Home dog plus 4.5. Yeah, it's a short week. Saints will probably be down Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders again. I haven't seen the update on Sanders, but we can look for it.
I think people are so sour on the Bears. This number is actually a little low. And people still believe the Saints are really good. Probably down Thomas. I don't know. That's a sketch one. I don't like that one. I don't really have a side. You?
stay away completely.
Okay.
Right now, lean Bears, but not ready to make the call. I think I'm on the Seahawks against the Niners. And I'm a gigantic Little Shanny fan, but I think the Seahawks are going to be Seahawks are going to be motivated. Niners are now down to JaMychal Hasty at running back, who actually did look good when he was in there. You
or I can run the ball for the Niners. He's going to get production.
But a really big part of the Niners offense is the ability to use the receivers as decoys in the run game and actually hand off to him. And Deebo Samuel's down again. So now Ayuk, I think, can do that, but he's not as big. I don't know. Shanahan is brilliant, but it just seems like there comes a point where, and they have Kittle, so that's good. But there seems to come a point, like, is there a breaking point? Like, how many goddamn running back? How deep are you going to go at running back? And now, you're down a receiver again with Samuel.
And I will say this, that I'm with you. Losing Samuel hurts. I think he's a guy that gives them a total edge. And it's like, well, Ayuk's, he's almost as good. And I was a big fan of Ayuk coming out of ASU. But Ayuk was there, right? It's not Ayuk. It's who replaces Ayuk.
Right.
Right. So whatever you lose Deebo Samuel to Ayuk, which maybe is or isn't anything, but you lose Ayuk because he now bumps into that spot. And I don't like the receiving core after those two. So yeah, I'm with you, Seahawks.
Wow. Okay, that was easy. I thought you'd fight me on it.
Yeah. No, I like the Niners in spots. I mean, I do like them as a dog.
Yep.
But like the idea that Seattle's not good and all this shit. I mean, I love Seattle when they're 3 or less, pretty much against anybody, right? Like now, if you get Seattle as a dog, yes, I'm on board. But that spreads where it ought to be, and the Seahawks are the better team right now with the better quarterback. Like Jimmy Garoppolo was shit and done 2 weeks ago, but now we're all good with him.
Right.
Hold up, I'll take the
Seahawks. Dreadful Broncos. This is unreal. Drew Lock is just not good. I got so micro on Monday that I started ripping him because he doesn't know how to slide. Because I was watching the game and he's got a knee brace.
Eagles Cowboys.
Because we already talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about it.
All right.
But anyway, I was getting on Drew Lock because he doesn't know how to slide. He slid over the weekend with the knee. The lead knee was the one with the brace on, and he almost like ripped his leg off because the brace got caught in the turf, and like there was a giant divot. And I'm like, I'm done with this guy. Not the most important thing, but Chargers 3 at the Broncos. I will take the Broncos. That was a total setup for you people out there who don't get what I do. It's not funny, but it's effective. Broncos +3. Listen. I think Herbert's been really good, but this is not a spot where I trust Anthony Lynn in what could be a 1-score game.
Right. So one thing about Drew Lock's athleticism, he was a Division I basketball recruit as well. So I don't know why he is that unathletic to, nosedive his knee brace into the turf.
I mean, in his defense, I'm trying to think which knee it was. It's not always easy to slide on the opposite knee.
Because it's a front knee, right?
Yeah, the kid does have guts. I don't. He's not going to be the quarterback of the future.
I was on in Denver Saturday, and they asked me, "What do I think of Drew Lock?" I said, "Hey, I think he's got the upside to one day be a Ryan Tannehill or
really
Ryan." I said, "That's the ceiling."
Right.
You asked me to predict. I mean, I'm going to predict a guy who gets a couple of years to start and ultimately ends up being a backup, and maybe he recycles back in and gets something done. But right now, but it took a couple of years. Here's where there's a reason for Denver to hang on. For 2 years at Missouri, everyone said he was 3 years in the door. He was an Elite 11 quarterback, and he was a Division I basketball recruit, and so he's going to get in there and do great. And for a couple of years in Missouri, they're kind of going like, this is what the guy is. Then his junior year, he blew up. So I think there's something there. I don't think it's happening this week. I think it might happen next year, right? But I think it also might not happen. He is tough. He will stand in the pocket, but he'll also not get rid of it, right? And take sacks that can be avoided. And those are big negative plays, and they don't have the firepower to overcome them. So there is a flaw there. I'm actually on the Chargers. Like, really? I've said all along, Herbert, like, okay, I get it. He's putting up numbers, but he's got to start winning. But he continues, like, eventually this is immovable object against irresistible force. Both coaches have no idea what the clock is doing.
Yes.
They don't know what the hell time's left. They have no idea how many timeouts are left.
So awesome.
The better quarterbacks with the Chargers. I mean, I did not think Herbert was going to be this good this fast. I didn't think he was going to be this good ever. But I'm not going to sit and root for my prediction and throw money against the guy just trying to prove my earlier prediction correct. I misevaluated the guy. He's better than I thought he was going to be. We'll see if he's going to be a star. We've seen some guys come out and look good early and then never be able to recapture, like Andy Dalton. There are guys that kind of come out and they're the new flavor. Like, ultimately, it's about winning games, and he's got to win some games. But he's been up against some big boys, put up good numbers, and come out on the losing end. But I like the Chargers in this. I think the Broncos, I have real problems.
Steelers +4 against the Ravens. My prediction is they're by Sunday. I don't know what the numbers are right now. Look them up. But Steelers are going to be the hot underdog pick, and they'll be the public underdog pick. Probably have at least 75% of the tickets.
Ravens double digits.
And I think it's going to be a super popular pick in the Super Contest. Say it again.
Ravens by double digits.
You son of a bitch. All right. Really?
Was that where you are?
I'm not on the Steelers, but, double digits. I'll look for an alt line. I'll look for an alternate line. When they win by 6, I'll be, real depressed when I laid 11. But God.
Look, I like, what's Baltimore's sin? They played the best team in the NFL and didn't get it done. Like, Ben Roethlisberger is not Patrick Mahomes. And the Ravens have kicked the shit out of everybody but the Chiefs. Like, power rankings, you want the power rankings, the real power rankings in the NFL? Chiefs 1, Ravens 2. There's nothing we've seen up until this point. The Steelers got a great win against the Titans. So, like, if you want to say the Steelers are the best team or Steeler fans want to pump their chest out, I'm not going to tell you sit down, you're a moron. By no means. There's plenty of reasons to really like what the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing. But before the season, what did you think? I thought Chiefs, Ravens. Listen, I had the Steelers winning the division, to be honest with you, and the Ravens have exceeded my expectation to this point. And now I get them at home. I expect this game. I still think the Steelers can win the division and may very well win the division because they can lose this one, win at home, and they're still ahead. So I think the Ravens are better. They've proven to be stronger than I thought. I'll take the Ravens.
71% of the tickets right now on the Steelers.
Yeah, of course. So your strongest plays are who?
But I didn't sound real confident, did I, in anything? Seahawks. And that's in spite of being a little shanty. Big fan of Little Shanny.
Well, we're going to have to find some dogs because I'll be damned if we're going to put in 5 favorites.
No, it won't be 5 favorites. A lot changes, my friends. A lot changes. I know you're tuning in for the leans, but a lot changes. We go over these picks again on Friday with Koken and JVT. So, and last game, it was off the screen, but well, there it is. Buccaneers 10.5 against the Giants. I'm on the Giants here, and I thought the Bucs were awesome in the fourth quarter against the Raiders. Raiders fell apart, but the Raiders were with them.
You cannot play the Giants. Come on.
I didn't say I'm playing it. I'm saying if I'm on a side, I'm on the Giants.
I'm on the Bucs, or I'm not playing it.
Really? You're willing to lay 10.5?
Yeah. Like, the Giants are shit.
Look at you.
You think the Giants are good?
I think they're improving.
They play in the sandbox with the Eagles.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying we're locking in the Bucs by any stretch because the Bucs, everyone's on the Bucs. I mean, this is probably a pretty good time to say, okay, they're due for a letdown, right? But if that's what you're betting, letdown Bucs, not Giants, right? You're not on the Giants. You're betting letdown Bucs.
Yeah. Giants out of the division, 10-point loss to the Steelers, lost by 4 against the Bears, walloped by the Niners by 27, got into a rock fight against the Rams and lost by 8, 17-9. But that's it. Obviously, the rest of the games are in division.
The Giants are like a loss away from tank for Trevor themselves.
But I think they're too stupid to do it. Gettleman especially.
Maybe.
Right? The Giants should be trading away pieces, but the problem is Gettleman is trying to save his job instead of looking out for the good of the organization, so he's not going to tank. Now, if I were the owner, I'd go to Joe Judge and say, you know what, fuck Edelman, do what you need to do because we want to have a chance at Justin Fields or Lawrence. Are there look-ahead spots in the NFL? There are sandwich spots, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's part of the Raiders. Part of the Chiefs' loss with the Raiders was coming off Pats looking ahead to Bills.
Saints next Sunday, 2 Sundays from Saints.
5 times in a row.
Saints 2 Sundays from now for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, but that's 2 Sundays from now.
Well, this Sunday and the next Sunday. Their next game is the Saints. After the Monday Night Football game against the Giants, the Saints are up.
Yeah. I mean, but there's all I agree, but like you got somebody on the other side's got to like you throw somebody the ball, like, hey, they got to fucking catch it still, right? Like the Bucs can come in and let down, but the Giants still got to take advantage of it. And do you believe in the Giants?
Not so much.
I'll be honest with you. The Giants may be, like, if we're gauging distance from a championship, they might be the worst team in the NFL.
This is a good conversation because I obviously, as a Jets fan, I'm getting super irked. Like, I know the Jets organization is dog shit, but
you've bottomed out,
right?
And you're
right. The Giants have not
franchise quarterback. The Giants are going to fuck around trying to figure out what Daniel Jones is for like 2 more years.
2 years, yep.
And sit in purgatory, and he might be just good enough to win enough games to never give him the number 1 guy. That's the worst spot in the world to be in.
Brady in primetime games, awesome. Another one, well, same one.
Brady, how did he do when he's holding up 4 fingers against the Bears? That was a primetime game. Spare me on the Brady and the primetime shit.
CJ Cards fan, he came back at you. That was pretty strong.
What?
No, the 4th down thing. You're right. In primetime game, he melted down and lost his mind.
He didn't do shit against the Bears. The Bears, who everyone thinks sucks now.
What else we got to close on? Where's my makeshift rundown?
I don't know.
Oh, last one. This is important. What are your thoughts on the Super Bowl with 20% capacity with the fans?
Well, didn't somebody just put up there France just shut down the country?
Yes.
So here, let me say this.
Yeah.
Right. So, one of my passions in life is coaching my little one's basketball team. Right? Like, yep. I love it. It's so much fun. Good kids, good families, and I got a couple of horses, right? So we can go a little. So it's a really fun team. Buddy of mine.
How old are the kids?
The girls are in the 5th grade now.
Got some horses.
Oh, let me tell you something. Listen, my assistant coach's kid can flat out go. I got a undersized center that's super long and can flat out move. And now we can trap and press in the 4th and trap. We don't have to just play man to man. So I can go with some zone here and there, and I'm very excited, right? So here's my point. Here's my lead up to this about what was the actual question about?
20,000 fans will be 20% will be at the Super Bowl.
Right? So I couldn't even remember why. So here's my thing. I totally want to coach this basketball team. I live in a county called Johnson County. The Johnson County Health Department said they recommend no fall sports indoor. With where the testing is and where it's going on, no fall sports indoor. There has been nothing from my kid's school, and we do CYO, Catholic school stuff. The CYO has said nothing about shutting things down. And when I called the CYO and asked about playing volleyball, I got an attitude to asking.
Wow.
So, right, so what do I think about it? I think it's hugely premature. Right? I think the virus is real. And I think when, I talked to a friend of mine who's a big wig at a hospital, and they said they're about a week away from opening a field hospital in Kansas City. And like we're gonna try to get some fans in the stands. Like, at what point do we go, you know what? We've been kind of trying to half-ass this shit for like 8-9 months. Maybe we should go all in, just take our medicine and get control of things, and then we'll worry about like making a couple of bucks back. It's my 2 cents.
You believe a good 30% of the American public, do you believe they're ready to go all in? I think they believe they already went all in and they hated it.
Yeah, they did hate it. And I'm not even saying you have to shut down everything, right? But like, no fucking fans at the Super Bowl, because does anybody, they have protocols in place. Yeah, like they had at the World Series, where dumbass runs out there with no mask while he's already COVID positive, and everybody knows he's COVID positive, and they all sit next to him. Like, that's the worst part, is like baseball, they had no fans till the very end. They caved in the very end. They start bringing some fans into the playoffs. Does anybody think, now listen, I will say this for the Kansas City Chiefs. I tip my cap. I was talking about my buddy Joe Spiker from Easton Roofing, and he went to the very first Chiefs game, and he said, you know what? It was great. He goes, everyone was spaced. The Chiefs did a really good job on everything. He goes, I actually had a great time. He goes, I actually want to take my kid because it's not the drunk fest that it usually is. So I think it's actually a good time to take my kids. But my fear is that with every game, it becomes more and more what it used to be.
Yep.
Right? And people let their guard down. And at some point, somebody's got to grow a pair and make the tough decision. Like, I'm not lobbying for everybody has to stay home and do nothing. But like, there are things like no gatherings. Like, shit, man. Like, it's not that hard. You know, there are tough decisions that are going to have to be made.
It's a good way to close. All right, everybody. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. Tomorrow night, back at 9:00 again. It's Justin Watkins night. We have a bunch of stuff to get into. I'll give you the some of the inside scoop on what's going on with the first UNLV game at the stadium with fans. I'll also talk about that a little bit on Cofield and Company. So, Soren, appreciate it.
Always my pleasure, my brother.
We'll see you. Stay